What's up, YouTube? We're back with another video with Miss Ruby Tuesday, my brand new 2020 Camaro ZL1 1LE 10-speed. Also known, you guys, amongst the Camaro enthusiasts, the fastest Camaro ever produced. All right. Now, what I wanted to do today, you guys, was get into the super deep specifics of what makes this insane vehicle so special and a little bit different and a little bit more, I don't know, we'll call it just track focused relative to the standard Camaro ZL1. Now, I'm going to be comparing this directly, you guys, to my previous car, Carmela, which was a 2018 Camaro ZL1 10-speed non-1LE. If anybody's followed the channel before, you guys know I do a lot of track time, and I've done those in previous cars as well. But I think I can kind of just give a unique perspective, basically, on what makes the car different, even over some of the magazine reviewers, because I've driven both cars and I daily drive them both, or have daily driven them both because the other one's gone now. What I'm going to do, you guys, to make this more complete, is we're going to start from the very front and just go all the way to the back, so that we can be as complete as possible and we don't miss anything here, okay? We're going to dive specifically into, like I said, what makes the car different from the standard ZL1. So, starting from the front, you guys, the most obvious thing in the front end is going to be all the additional aero that's been added, all right? The additional aero parts that have been added, you guys, of course. Let's start from the bottom, all right? We've got the larger lower lip. Now that is larger. It's larger about an inch on the peripheral edges, and it's probably about an inch and a half wider, or longer, I should say, in the center section of the lip. The other thing you guys will notice, obviously, and this is one of the things that people do like just aesthetically about the vehicle, is that you've got these canards. All right. Now the canards and the larger lip, all right, also work in conjunction for additional cooling with the different radiator, or I should say radiator design. It's the grill design. The grill design on the 1LE has less slits in it. All right, so it's got more ability to kind of flow more air. Apparently it flows about 6% more air with the larger openings in the centers here compared to the old one, which would have a little bit more of the rakes and lines in the center section here. Also, if you look from the side, this piece here protrudes out a little bit more. It just basically grabs the air a little bit better, okay? This is just gonna add just additional cooling, especially when you're on the track and you're flogging the car. The additional things they did also to kind of add a little bit more, again, track focus, you guys, they've gotten rid of the daytime running lights, or the LEDs here on the side. And that was to reduce, basically reduce some mass, and then also allow for the placement of the canards. As we move now to the top section, the beautiful, I love, the carbon fiber hood insert. And we do have the signature black hood. Now, if you guys have seen any of the previous videos, I'm not a big fan of the black hood. It's growing on me, I will be honest. I don't know, it just looked mismatched to me, especially in a photo. But when you end up seeing them in person, and you do see the dark wheels, and you've got the darker mirrors, you've got the black mirrors, they add some accents. These aren't always on every single 1LE, but you've got the accent like the gas cap, and then again the darker, you know, carbon fiber wing. It works aesthetically. It works. What I'm going to do, you guys, really quick, I'm going to shut the garage door just to kind of limit the light variance. So you've got the carbon fiber hood insert. Now, what's cool about the carbon fiber hood insert, you guys, that is, as of 2019 and the 20 model years, that's more of a signature 1LE thing. You don't get those on the standard ZL1 1LE, as frustrating as that is, because that was one of the things I did miss on my first ZL1. I did miss that. It's such a beautiful feature to have, basically. Now, in terms of the hood wrap, you guys, what I'm finding, other than just aesthetically matching with all the other black parts of the car, is when you look at it from a distance and when the car's approaching, it actually makes the car look wider. So it's not just a styling accent, which it is for the 1LE, you know, equipped Chevy Camaros, all of them. But to me, with the canards in the front, and you've got the black mirrors, and then also kind of picks up the rear wing. It makes the car look wider. Okay, so I will admit, as somebody who was not a big fan of this before, it does look pretty good. I'm going to show you guys a product later that I use to clean that gives this a nice glossy look, so you don't have to deal with the kind of matte look if you're not into it. I'm old school, you guys. I'm one of the old guys who likes things to shine. So I'm not a big fan of anything that's matte. So if I can make the matte a little glossier, I'll be all about it. Now, let's dive into the other stuff, you guys. So the main thing that's going to separate this car from the standard ZL1, you guys, let's be honest, it's the suspension. But there's multiple factors that make this car different. It's going to be aero, suspension, wheels and tires, and then there is slight weight reduction. All right, so let's dive in. Now, the difference mainly, okay, with the ZL1 and the 1LE is going to be the suspension. Instead of a magnetic ride suspension with that broad spectrum setup where you have the tour mode, you've got track mode, and then sport mode, this is fixed all the time, and basically we'll call it a super track mode. Instead of a magnetic ride control suspension, you've got a much lighter and more track focused Multimatic DSSV damper system. Now, we keep hearing that all the time, Multimatic DSSV. What the hell does that mean? Why is that so special? The Multimatic, you guys, is a company in Canada, and they make amazing race quality suspensions and race suspensions for race cars. So for them to get involved in a street car, in any street car, it's something to say, basically. It's something very special. So Multimatic got involved, and what makes these dampers so special, you guys, and so track focused, it's several things, basically. You've got the ride adjustability, or the height adjustability. You can go up or down 10 millimeters in the front, so if you need a little bit more downforce, or you need a little bit more clearance, God forbid if it needs to be towed, the body of the shock is threaded, so you can actually raise or lower the car. So you can add a little bit more of that. You've got monotube design. Multimatic, basically what they did was you've got the spool valve shocks, all right, separated from the standard shocks. There's several things. It's too simple just to say it's a Multimatic, DSSV, and people just it just goes over their head, basically. Compared, let's say, to the Camaro Z28, which was the most track-focused Camaro before this. This car, just the same Multimatic style shocks. The old shock bodies in the Z28, you guys, they used to be made out of steel. These are made out of aluminum. So what it results in, you guys, is a 23-pound reduction in unsprung mass, just like that. So that's massive. Now, instead of a twin tube design, you got a monotube design. So again, it's you have separate adjustment for your rebound and damping, which again gives the ability for the designer engineers to get a little bit more specific in how they want the car to feel and how they want it to handle. The other advantage of the Multimatic DSSVs, basically, is when you have the spool valve shocks, you guys, instead of using what essentially looks like a stack of washers that allows the oil for the shocks to flow through, it uses a very, very specific etch design internally, which is the spool valve, and that flows a very specific amount of oil. Now, on top of that very specific amount of dampening fluid that it can flow, it also provides for more specific dampening. Let me get the lights back on, you guys, here. And it also provides for more reliable dampening. So what do I mean? It just means over the years, as the shocks get older, the performance of the suspension, it stays more stable. Okay, it doesn't start to degrade, excuse me, with time, like most shocks do. The issue with the non-spool valve shocks is the washers inside the shocks, they start to deflect with age. They start to separate, the openings will start to dilate a little bit, so it's not flowing the same amount of fluid, so then you lose the dampening characteristics, right? So the car gets older, it kind of feels a little bit more wishy-washy in the corners. So the cool thing about this is consistency. The car is always going to remain a track monster. The other advantage, you guys, other than just the like I said, the threaded suspension, so you can lower it and raise it. The twin tube design goes to monotube, right? And then on top of that, you've got the spool valve. So I mean, massive improvement there. over the standard ZL1 1LE. Now you do lose that dynamic range, so you are going to lose some of that comfort and adjustability, let's be honest. But again, you're trading that off for all-out track performance. All right, now, other than the standard, or the suspension going from magnetic ride, you guys, to monotube, the fancy DSSV with all the fancy design elements in it, they've also widened the tires, all right? And they've also gone to smaller wheels and tires. So instead of a 20-inch front and rear, you're going with a 19. I believe with the ZL1, the standard ZL1 or non-1LE, it's a 20 by 10 in the front, 20 by 11 in the back, and it's a 285/30/20 and a 305/30 in the rear. That's a 20-inch as well, of course. Now with the 1LE, you're going down to a 19-inch. The wheels don't look as nice, in my opinion. I just still have a set of my old non-1LE wheels, you guys. I think, in my opinion, it's a sharper looking wheel. It's a 20-inch wheel. Let's be honest. It's a GT wheel. It's a street wheel. I still have the other ones to use, which I'm kind of excited about. And the cool thing is, you guys, I was one of the first ones in the country to pick up. For those who don't know, you can get the 3R tires from the 1LE in 20-inch now. Look, check it out. It's on a standard ZL1 wheel, and that's the 1LE tire. That is not the Supercar 3 that you get with the standard ZL1. So just for reference too, you guys, another point for the video, you can get the hardcore ZL1 1LE style wheels on the in the 20-inch size. Now, instead of, so we have the 285 in the front on the 20-inch and the 305 in the rear. Now with the 1LE, they're moving up to a 305/30/19 in the front, and then you've got the massive 325/30/19. God damn, that's thick. That is thick. Now instead of, or rather than just going with a smaller wheel, you guys, the wheels and tires do produce a 3.3 pound per corner reduction in unsprung mass. In terms of the brakes, the rotors, everything, brake pads, calipers, everything is completely the same as a standard ZL1, other than the coloration. You get the red color, so just a little bit of pop there, basically, just to kind of indicate that it's a 1LE car. Let's move further back. Again, design element, you get the black mirrors. I'm old school, I'm old as hell, you guys. I still like the body colored mirrors. It is what it is. You also lose the glass, excuse me, you guys. You lose the gloss kind of finish on the rocker panels. And what I'll do, you guys, since we're moving back, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the garage again here. So the standard ZL1 does have a very nice gloss kind of finish to the front lip and all the side pieces, including even the edging of the bumpers in the rear. So this, it just kind of goes to, in style, you guys, it goes with the matte finish just to kind of run with the wing and all that stuff. So again, it's a styling kind of element. Some people are into it, some people aren't. You take the good with the bad. I'm getting used to it and I'm starting to feel it, basically. I like it. Now, middle of the car. Let's move into the interior as well as kind of the transmission here, you guys. The transmission, yes, it is the same, 10R90, 10-speed transmission as the standard ZL1, but whichever they did, you guys, was they did a little bit of additional cooling. They used, I think, a larger pan for the transmission to just provide for additional cooling of the transmission on the track. Now, I've had the ZL1 on the track 16 times, the standard non-1LE. We've been to all kinds of different tracks. I've never had the thing overheat until I had the clowns at Chevrolet overfill my transmission when they did the flush at 30,000 miles, which was obviously kind of frustrating. But no, the car, in my opinion, I never felt like it needed additional cooling, but they added that basically. Still, same 10-speed, 10R90, but you've got more cooling in the transmission. Now, on the small weight reduction, you guys, they did do a very, very tiny bit of weight reduction. You can't really do much with these things. But I mean, again, they reduced the unsprung mass in the wheels and tires compared to the standard ZL1. They've gotten rid of the DRLs, so you've got a little bit of weight there taken out. If you go inside, you guys, what they've done is they've removed, this is, I mean, we're talking really small feature, you guys, but what they've done is they removed the latch for the back that allowed the rear seat to fold down, so it doesn't do that. The other thing they did to reduce some of the weight on the interior, and this is, or just slightly in the car, I should say, was they ended up reducing or increasing, excuse me, the density of the foam in the back seat. So again, it's engineering stuff. They take a pound here out, a pound there out. Basically, it adds up little by little. But apparently, again, the latch was removed for the back seat so it doesn't fold down. No big deal. If I've ever put wheels in the back of the car, I just stack them behind me anyway. So I've never actually used that feature in the old car. And then again, they've increased the density of the pad for the back seat. Believe it or not, most people won't know that. Moving to the back of the car, you guys, again, back to the wheels really quick. Instead of a 20 by 11, we've got a massive 19 by 12. Now, last time I saw numbers like 19 by 12, you guys, those were just kind of for shits and giggles, I was looking at wheels that were available for Ferraris. So it's just insane to see that this thing comes stock like that. Now, to add even more grip and more control, we've got our comp tires. So rather than just messing around with the standard, I shouldn't even say standard, you guys, because Chevy is amazing with what they're even producing with the standard, and I don't want to call it a standard ZL1, you guys. Let's call it the non-1LE ZL1. It comes with, instead of summer tires like every other single or manufacturer out there, other than Ford, I have to admit Ford does to put the good tires on their cars. They put extreme performance tires. Now most people don't want our comps on their cars right from the factory, but again, you get them with the super high performance cars. So this car is wearing racing tires or R-Comp track tires from the factory. It's not something that you're gonna have to upgrade or anything like that later. Absolutely amazing and very, very sticky. So again, huge footprint, 19 by 11, 19 by 12, 305, 325. Absolutely, absolutely impressive. Now, if we go to the midsection of the car, all right, Chevrolet to also just aid in any kind of weight reduction and also kind of just allow for a little bit more of a raw kind of experience when you're driving the car. Got to transmit a little bit more sound, a little bit more NVH, which makes, I think, for a cooler, kind of more memorable driving experience. They thinned out the rear glass, super subtle kind of stuff. But again, it's race car stuff, you guys. They thinned out the glass by 1.2 millimeters. So the rear glass, I shouldn't say windshield, the rear glass of the car is slightly lighter. It's kind of cool. Now, in line with all of this amazing aero that we did in the front here, so you got the canards, you've got the lip, right? All of this works to flow air over the fender, past and through the mirrors, and then it ends up back here on this absolutely stunning airfoil. It means it actually produces downforce. This is not Fast and Furious bullshit, you guys, where it's Honda Civic and an aluminum wing that looks like scaffolding and stuff like that. This was produced by Pratt & Miller in conjunction with Chevrolet. And Pratt & Miller, people don't speak GT or Le Mans, Corvette racing, let's put it that way, okay? So they designed this legit wing to produce 300 pounds of downforce at one. All right, so the wing will add 300 pounds of downforce at 150 miles an hour. I know, again, some reviewers, I'm gonna call them out, dude, it's Motor Trend. They're always making these references, basically, like these extreme references, like, oh, you'll never get up to speed, or you'll only get to 150 miles an hour on the Nürburgring, or it works. And, again, we're not asking for always 150 pounds of downforce, but even 100 pounds of downforce, let's say at 110 miles an hour, that's still very significant. I do a lot of track times. Actually, probably my favorite track, you guys, if I had to name it, or the one I've done the best at, is Auto Club Speedway. We frequently enter turn 1 at 159 miles an hour, so I fully intend on utilizing the downforce. So again, we got 300 pounds of downforce in the rear. That's obviously gonna have to be matched with equal to similar downforce in the front. One thing I did fail to mention, you guys, initially when we were talking about the suspension, is that what the engineers did was to kind of balance out for the smaller wheels and tires on the 1LE, they actually lowered the ride height. Most people don't know this, by 19 millimeters in the front and 16 millimeters in the rear. So the car does have a lower center of gravity. So one more thing just to add to kind of the added handling. One thing also I did fail to mention to you guys, when we're talking underneath the car, the 1LE does have unique air dams and what they call air strakes to kind of guide air underneath the car a little bit better or more efficiently at really high speeds. So again, everything in conjunction, front to rear, will work together. This is why I always tell people I think that cars that are designed by engineers are better than cars that are tuned by tuners. It's all designed to work together as one complete, beautiful package. In terms of the exhaust, for those who don't know, you guys, measured by Car and Driver, I believe it was last year, ZL1 is one of the loudest cars ever recorded by Car and Driver magazine. So this chick will scream on the track. So again, everything comes together to create a complete package, a total track monster. The car is focused, the car is lighter, the car is just ready, just absolutely ready. If we dive a little bit deeper into the suspension, you guys, the rear suspension is mounted directly to the frame of the car using aluminum pucks, so that gets rid of any compliance or deflection in the front. We've got spherical mounts in the front. So again, the only rubber in the suspension in the 1LE is the tires, literally. This is the only thing that will isolate any NVH in the suspension, and it's still daily drivable in my opinion. The front suspension also, let me show you guys a little shot of this unbelievable wing. Unbelievable. I gotta get that schmaltz off later. The other part of the front suspension that makes the car kind of extra special, you guys, is just the total adjustability, the total. Let's put it this way: the standard ZL1 non-1LE, let's stop calling it the standard. It only has 2 degrees of front camber adjustability, whereas the 1LE has a different suspension setup, you guys. I'm not going to get into the details on how you adjust it, but it allows, instead of going 2 degrees of camber, you can go up to 3.7. Chevrolet recommends on this particular platform 2.7, but bottom line is, instead of being stuck at 2.0 and still understeering, you can move it all the way up to the appropriate level of 2.7. So I'm going to pretty much set it and forget it. I'm probably going to lower the car 5 millimeters, just kind of give it halfway of what's available in the range, and then I'm going to go ahead and dial in the camber. When you do see these cars at the dealers, the tires stick out, and they stick out a lot. This has actually gotten a lot better because the suspension's already starting to settle. The reason the tires stick out, number one, they're freaking wide, but number two is because the tires, or I should say the suspension, is designed to have that camber dialed in, all right? So once you dial in the camber appropriately, the top of the tire tilts all the way in, and then you don't see that anymore, basically, so it looks a little bit more appropriate, all right? So again, all of this in conjunction, all the engineering and all the design they've done, in comparison to the standard ZL1, non-1LE ZL1, you guys, what I found on every single track that I can get times on them for both of the cars, it looks like the end result is literally 1 to 1.2 seconds per mile of track is what we're looking at. You look at the Nürburgring Nordschleife times, it's the same thing. It's about 13 seconds, okay? You look at VIR, it's about 4 seconds. It's kind of unique because when you really start breaking it down, once I saw the association of the relationship between the times and the mileage, I was like, oh shit, it's 1.1, let's say on the safe side, 1 to 1.1 seconds per mile of track faster. And that's the result of the 1LE package. And we can try and quantify it, and I think they have actually, you guys. So everything in conjunction comes together to create this absolute monster behind us that we look forward to getting on track very soon, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today and a good close look at Miss Ruby Tuesday. She is now at almost 1,400 miles, or I should say 1,350. We're gonna start basically flogging this thing. She's ready. She's pretty good here for the break-in. The one last thing I'm gonna leave you guys with really quick. I used to think this sticker was cheesy. Let's go over to this side here, you guys. This little X that comes on cars. What the hell's up with that X sticker? That X sticker, you guys, is supposed to stand for extreme track performance, just for reference. So we're always wondering, what the hell is that? Also, there was a concept that came out, I believe, in 15 or 16 for this car, and it had an X in a name, so it's supposed to be a throwback to that. Just in case, a little bit more ZL1 1LE trivia. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm getting hot as hell. I'm gonna have to head my ass back inside, you guys. We are in Arizona and it is 120 something, probably 115 for the high today. That's even with the clouds. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys next time. You guys take care. We'll see you on the track. Thanks, you guys.